here. All right, I guess it's exactly 11:30. It's time for us to start. Um, I had a little bit of technical issues, so I was trying to get it, and I was rushing a little bit. But we are here, and we welcome you. Thank you for participating in our monthly webinars. My name is Andrea. I am with Minoria. Minoria is a company that's dedicated in empowering disadvantaged businesses. We're niched in the construction industry, therefore, this is one of the resources we provide to educate and aware a lot of the contractors out there of opportunity and of how to do business. And today's topic is a very important topic that sometimes a lot of contractors, because of being so busy, they they lose out in a lot of potential business because of this factor of just doing what is expected in the industry. So we're going to talk about how to do business thinking outside the box. Okay, so before we start, I want to sort of identify some of the highlights and how this webinar is going to go about. So usually, if you have any questions on any of the portions where I'm explaining the slides, please hold on to them and then write them on the Q&A section. You should have it on the bottom area. If you have any technical problems, I have Mauricio, who's our team member that is amazing with any technicalities. He's going to be able to help you get some situations fixed, just like audio or presentation issues. Any of the registrants will have a copy of these slides, of this presentation, and the video. So if as you registered, you're going to receive that within 2 to 3 business days. Now, in regards of the topics or the topics we're going to be considering on this webinar is going to be identifying the problem of mediocre habits, focus, and priorities, the purpose and value to your service, marketing strategically, and we're going to learn about innovative tools to help you stand out. All right, so let's get started. Typical habits, focus, and selection of priorities. Okay, so I put in this little, what is it, a picture of the office. Everybody knows the director, but sometimes we put our priorities are very, very outside of what your focus should be, right? Sometimes we prioritize things that will not produce. So some of the common practices a lot of contractors do is that they're too busy and they started, maybe they started with a certain skill and they got to grow their business through that skill. So most likely their heart is usually in the field, right? They want to be out there working along with the workers, and that's great. But that might not be a priority for you as a business owner. Some of the contractors have habits of going through portals or investing in certain platforms and expecting work to come. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. What in reality should happen is that you should be proactive, as a business owner, looking for that work instead of waiting for the work to come. And sometimes that can cost you a dime and a nickel because that investment that you're putting in sometimes doesn't have a really good outcome and you cannot measure it. And believe me, if you identify, I know that our webinars host a variety of contractors in different levels. Some contractors right now are going through a level where you're already out of the residential arena, now going into public works projects, maybe even federal projects. And then you also have these contractors that are emerging and growing, and maybe a little stuck in a plateau of residential projects or small commercial. So in this webinar, we're gonna try to address everybody's situation. Okay, so it's gonna be a little more general. If you have any questions specifically to a certain topic that that has a little more technicality and a little more explanation, feel free to connect with me. So now in regards of investing, going back to the investing portion, sometimes we invest that time, the resources and marketing, but you have no tools, no way of finding out if that time investment or the money you've spent is actually giving you an outcome. And sometimes let's say you spend let's say $500 or $600 in lead generators or platforms like Yelp, and one customer doesn't really pay off for your monthly bill. And sometimes contractors are very happy with that. Sometimes they're very hopeful. Sometimes they don't have any outcome and they're still being hopeful. Hopeful is not a income producing activity, being hopeful. We got to make sure that there's measures and tools in your operations process to be able to measure out. And that's a problem that a lot of contractors don't have, because obviously sometimes they don't have the time. There's a lot of contractors that receive emails, outreach emails, inviting them to these outreach events where there's going to be these major projects, and and the idea is to collaborate, network, and possibly get a little piece of the pie out of that big project. Well, sometimes we think as contractors, I'm not a contractor, but contractors believe, or business owners in general, believe that if you go to an event, you talk to a representative where you want to do business with, you get their information, you provide them your information, then you sort of magically expect for them to follow up. Well, you got to question yourself, well, who's really wanting to do business with who, right? These contacts that you're getting are most likely not going to follow up with you. So a lot of contractors tend to go to these events, and there's your time investment, and without a follow-up, you're not going to get any outcome. So you got to really make sure that if in case you do invest a certain amount of time, you got to go with your research ahead of time to make sure that you ask the proper questions, connect with the proper people, and then make sure that you have a follow-up system, right? You make sure that if you say that you're going to do something, you do it, because the contacts that you reach out to, especially the bigger they are, the more they're going to pick up on this, is that if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, it'll hold. It'll come back to you. If that person or that representative or that department goes and markets somewhere else, they see you, then you start to build a little reputation of, yes, you're all talk, but you're no action. And that can affect your business. And then, of course, a lot of contractors provide a service, but they really don't even know their purpose. They don't even know why they're providing the service besides, generating money. And obviously, a lot of contractors have the do-it-all syndrome, making sure that they don't want to delegate responsibilities, you want to be in the field, yet you are not taking the time to train something or someone on how to develop invoices, how to communicate, um, send the email. Sometimes they don't even want to share their email password to anyone. So they, I mean, how private are your emails? You know, where you can't share it with team members that want you to grow. Sometimes you get instead of you growing and investing time on your employees, um, you end up, you know, getting stuck, and you're getting your employees stuck. They don't see any growth. Therefore, they're going to end up leaving. So, yes, I am going to talk about things that are not relative to construction at this moment. I am going to get to the construction portion, but I think the mentality of and the limitations we set are huge in any business, especially when it comes to an industry as demanding as construction. So if you've asked or said or mentioned any of these 10 self-limiting beliefs, you definitely need to empower yourself. You need to get educated. You need to feed your mind. You need to remove those cultural beliefs that you already have and feed them with something different. Um, so I highly recommend for you to take the time and read some of these empowering books. This is to nurture your um, mind and to see its amazing power of growth that you have and the potential that you have. So one is one of them. The first one, "Who Took My Cheese," is actually it's sort of like a cartoon character, a small book, but with a lot of meaning. And it's a lot of meaning when it comes to life itself and business. I highly recommend you to share this book with all your team members as well, because if everybody has the same mentality after uh, catching the moral of the story of Who Took My Cheese, I think there's going to be a lot of more synergy and alignment inside your operations and your team culture. Um, The Richest Man in Babylon is a really good one as well. It helps you sort of understand the balance, the proper balance you're supposed to have. Jim Rohns is one of my personal development. I highly recommend. Just like we need to proper nutrition on our bodies, we need proper nutrition on our minds. And this is very important to address. The ultimate Jim Rohn library is a accumulation of all his seminars, and it really talks about a lot of you know a lot of mindset changes and a lot of the habits that we sometimes cultivate our upbringing. Uh, if you say you don't have the time to read, technology is amazing. I highly encourage you to download Audible. Audible will have all these books. I'm sure you travel a lot. You go to all these sites. Make sure you go to the walkthroughs and everything. So as you're traveling, instead of hearing music, and instead of making your phone calls that are very distractive, make sure that you plug in your your Audible and you can listen to these books, and it'll save a lot of time. If you say you don't have time for that, now you're pretty much saying that you don't have time for yourself, therefore you don't have time to make money. Um, Other books I recommend is that will give sort of like the idea flow, like the juices, those ideas to flow. Is the 4 Hour Work Week. That's an amazing book. It gives you a lot of options of how to delegate a lot of work and make sure that you don't that you can actually live life, you know, and there's a lot of areas where you can implement a lot of those um, cultural habits that you might want to implement in your company. It gives you a lot of good ideas. I highly recommend that one. Build to Sell, that's an amazing book as well. Any business owners should read Build to Sell. It's a book where even though you have you start your business with the idea of always being in your business, um, it sort of talks about how you still have to strategize and create your business to where you eventually will sell. It's very important to read that and sort of catch ideas and implement them in your business. Never split the difference is sort of talking about how to really talk to people, how to negotiate, how to really not worry about the rejection, right? And how sometimes rejection can be actually the opening of a yes. So highly recommend these books. So now let's go to purpose and value. Why do we want to talk about that? Well, Forbes, statistically, um, there's there are 4 to 6 times more likely customers, right? Are 4 to 6 times more likely to purchase, protect, and champion purpose-driven companies. Gotta make sure that you have a purpose, a reason, your why. Identify it. And the reason why you want to do that is because by doing that, you will be able to have a clear direction of where you go. You sort of clear up all these opportunities because opportunities are everywhere. And sometimes you might feel overwhelmed and say, "Oh, I have so many things to do, so many RFPs, so many emails that I need to respond to, and events I need to attend, and networking that I need to do." Well, once you identify a purpose, you'll realize that all of those to dos will clear up, and now you sort of can be able to measure everything. Focus. You now have focus according to your purpose, right? And you'll have direction, and you'll have the focus. And then you'll, by adopting that purpose, you have an idea of how your culture, your company culture will be, how you will be able to affect um, your all your internal team, your customers, anyone that has an interest in your business. Investors, because you are identifying like-minded people, like people that are according to that purpose or agree to your purpose. So if you have no idea how to do that, we did have a previous webinar. It talked about how to stay focused, get your company to be strategic, and how to plan and prepare for bidding opportunities. Really good webinar, and you're welcome to view it. We have our YouTube channel that has these like a library of all the webinars that we've had, and other mini clips. And we have a combination. We target a lot of the Hispanic communities, basic business topics, but all of the English content has to do with mostly construction. All right, so if you don't have any idea right now, and you really wanna identify how to start with that purpose, uh, I highly encourage you to get another book, a book by Simon Sinek, Start with Why. It talks about how important it is to identify your why. If you feel like, for example, if you feel that your why is money, that is definitely not your why. Actually, if I go back, I sort of mentioned it here. Money is not your purpose, it is a vehicle that gets you to your purpose. Yes, you want to generate money, but what is that money going to help with, right? You might have, because you want to make sure that you leave a legacy, you want to make sure that your family is taken care of. But what else? And that's important to identify. What else do you want to leave behind? So some of the causes and some of the purposes have to do with any type of cause, any type of solution you can bring to the table. So examples are, helping with the ecosystem, anything that has to do with, energy solutions, waste, any waste containment, anything that will reduce carbon. I mean, especially in California right now, there's an aggressive goal of being able to reduce, you know, carbon and energy and save, you know, our ecosystem. So those are really, really purposeful services. So if you can sort of engage your service to to master and to learn more about how there might be tools or there might be machinery you can use or processes where you can measure how you're going to help and how clean you're gonna work and with what um, projects you're gonna sort of get into that will give you that reputation is great. And believe me, you're gonna have a lot of people backing you up on that mission. Economy. Let's say you sort of want to focus on getting the communities involved or anyone that serves any type of low income. Right now, there's a real problem, and the state of California is coming with amazing solutions, amazing funding on how to help homelessness, how to house uh, low income families. That's a really good mission that you can unite and align with a lot of entities that are working on that. Anything that has to do with assisting any disadvantaged categories. Maybe you want to be a contractor that sort of is recognized for helping and being really good with, wheelchair accessible ramps. Um, has any in um, certain areas where there's hearing impairments and there's type of construction that's needed for that. So learning about that and having that niche is a really good option. Comfort, comfort is an amazing thing. Everybody looks for comfort. And if you want to bring in something where, our services are big spaces with comfort solutions. That's a really good one. Education, maybe you promote that, you hire youth to be able to educate them and train them in the construction industry, or maybe you want to start YouTube videos that educate on how to do it yourself is very important too, and it's a really good demanding arena. Anything that has to do with innovation, maybe you want to be the first one that supports any type of tech savvy tool. Um, Preservation of history and culture, that's a big topic as well. There's a lot of cities that are trying to preserve the history that where it started in architecture, and anything specific to challenges, industry challenges, any construction that you don't see very common, where you can get some special training. That's also a good purpose, of being able to have solutions for, in the federal arena is one of them. I mean, there's a lot of dams, there's a lot of underground construction, there's a lot of marine type of construction. So it's important for you to identify, and I'm just giving you some examples of what type of purpose can you adopt into your culture and your company, your values. So now let's go to the marketing strategically. Um, it's definite. It's a definite that you need a plan. You need to build a strategic marketing plan and update it every year, because with that plan, that provides you direction, right? That provides not only you but your team also a direction of what we're going to do for that particular year. What's the the objective or the goal within 3 years, 5 years, even 10 years, it's important to address it. It depends on how big your company is, what outcome you have, you want, how big your team is. So it's important to develop a plan, and we also have on our library videos in regards of how to develop these plans. We include a mix of consistency of that purpose. So once you identify your why, um, make sure that you brand it, that you promote it, that you market it, that you instill it on your service, that you apply it on any type of operations in your team culture, that you identify those relationships according to that purpose. So let's say you choose eco-friendly solutions for your construction. Well, obviously you want to be a part of certain organizations that are. I want to be a part of the board of or company or construction prime that might be wanting to focus on that area and serve and help. Identifying your business relationships. I mean, anything that or when you want to do business with a person or with an entity, you really want to identify if they align with what you believe, what your company is, and what your why is. Okay, so let's talk about the tools that stand out. These are there's tools and creative ideas, of how to stand out of competition. If you're in the residential arena, you have a lot of competition. So having a particular niche, having the proper tools for customer service, customer retention, follow-up process. It's very important to be consistent and implement tools and platforms and anything that's going to help you with your process of relieving a lot of that load that you have to do. So customer relationship management systems are highly encouraged. The only bad thing about customer CRMs is that if you invest on it, you need to use it. You need to get your company or your team to use it. If not, then you're not going to get any good outcome out of that investment. There are CRMs that are free trials, some CRMs that might even be used for free. Um, but I but you can start from something small like Mailchimp. That's that a lot of the to start a profile and an account is free, and then you sort of they sort of loop you into certain services per month. It can be something small as $15 a month, and then after they sort of catch you and as you build your customer system, custom. So just do a lot of research on what CRM you are going to identify. If you need some help on that, we can certainly help. That's how the company originally started in identifying CRMs. But we realized that that's not if you don't implement, if the owner, the leaders don't implement any of those practices, you can create these amazing bells and whistles um, system, automate the process and things like that. But you won't be able to have a good, productive, and good measuring system if you adopt it. So break certain habits that you have and implement these new habits of making sure that your numbers and your information is being tracked on the system. Um, Social media networking and lead generators. There's a lot of apps. No, I'm just suggesting certain apps. There's an app called Nextdoor. Nextdoor is a app where all of that is together. You can have it's sort of like a social media networking platform where you work with community, in your community or the area you work with, and you might be able to get a little more interaction on that platform. The Blue Book is a really good tool. A lot of people might know about it. A lot of contractors might not. The Blue Book is it's the Blue Book. Blue Book is the car, the auto um, value type company, but the Blue Book is an organization that helps you with a platform where you interact and find opportunities through either um, either private companies or public companies, and you can be invited. You can include all your capability statements on your profile. People can go in. There's a networking arena or area in the website that you can work, um, other contractors out there, and they assign a representative. And the representative, sort of helps you through some of the difficult system. They have events. It's a really good organization to participate. It's up to you. There is a fee. And anything that has to do with community, contractor groups, organizations that align with that. If you are a minority-owned, women-owned, there's organizations that support you to help you get business, like the Southern California Minority Business Development Center, is that provides a certification, but on top of it, it sort of gives you a membership where you can start networking. They have these national and regional events where you can go in and they do a one-on-one with large corporations, um, where the roundtable can actually talk to supplier diversity representatives. It's really good organization to get certified on and to be a part of. And then anything that, any social media, basic social media practices, engaging and getting a little more involved on that. You can go into contractors groups or any group, like if you're serving, low income families or something like that, you can go into those groups and promote your business. Now, estimating and invoice client management, an application called Joist, that if you're out and about, it's pretty cool because you have it on your cell phone, and it integrates with QuickBooks. It integrates with making sure that if for reason they need to make a payment, PayPal, and other integrations that you can do according to how you do your business or what systems you use to. It's a good app for you to have, and it's recommended by other contractors. And then customer team cloud-based communication. Well, a lot of companies already know about Google Works, but some contractors don't. I know there's a lot of contractors that might be technically deprived, and it's a big step just joining us on this webinar. So if for any reason you do not know how to Google works, and if you have a Google account, it's actually free. You just need to go to a area where it says there's a file system, and you'll be able to do a lot of uh, interaction with organizing your files and communicating with others. You actually have tools like Microsoft Tools to be able to update and share it with others. Highly recommend you to do that. You can just Google Works, and it'll describe all the tools and perks that this application has. Teams is a great one as well. That's something that we as a team work with through video conferencing. You can share files, you can incorporate documents. A really good tool to get your team. And like I said, there's so many applications out there for solutions. It's just a matter of you investigating and going through all these options to see what's best for your company. And like you mentioned, once you have that purpose, you identify your why, everything's gonna align. Uh, do your strategic planning, get your team leaders united. A full day you can accomplish a lot. Get that day to just devote in your infrastructure. But it's all about your core values, and that will help you significantly. Any decision, any creation, any tools, creation of an operation system is very important for you to understand that and execute on that, please. So now we're opening everything for questions. We invite you to, like I mentioned, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to, if for any reason you want any type of assistance, call us, let us know. You have an email, we have a website, I have a phone number. You can connect. My name is Andrea. And then we also have a free assessment that we encourage you to do. If you want to just send me an email or call me, let me know that you want to do this assessment. This assessment allows you to understand the capacity. We identify what your existing capacity is. We share it with you. We provide you with free resources. We recommend construction niche professionals that you might want to start building relationships. Maybe you're a small business or a small contractor, but eventually you want to get into those large contracts, want to get 8A certified through the federal government or get federal opportunities. So you definitely need to start connecting. It doesn't mean you're going to do business. Maybe you can't afford doing business with, construction niche professionals at the moment, but you can start building those relationships with them. And we prepared you a process of how you might be able to grow if you're part of certain organizations, just like the one I mentioned as well, some of the construction related organizations for you to participate. And obviously, we provide any type of solution we identify. Completely free for you, so make sure you take advantage of that free. So now we're open to any questions. Anyone have any questions? I don't see anything at this moment. I think I covered everything. Right. So I think that's it. If you remember of any questions that right now, let me know, and I'm very open to answering any of the questions. Otherwise, thank you so much for participating to this webinar. We'll see you next month, and have a great day.